I'm Marisa Norcross.
And I'm Dave Freund, and this is The Next Page. Marisa, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I am terrific.
Yeah, you're gearing up for your favorite time.
I am gearing up, but we are in the middle of the most wonderful time of the year.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so special.
Mm-hmm.
It's different.
Yep.
But it's special. And that's really what I wrote about this morning. In my new book, The 52 Little Lessons from a Christmas Carol. What I really love about it is one of the chapters was talking about kind of seeing life through the eyes of a child.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, so the example that I gave that was in the book was Bob Cratchit, who's working for Scrooge, and it's a miserable place, and it's dark, and it's cold, and Scrooge is just complaining and whining, and Bob Cratchit goes to put, some coal in the stove, and Scrooge goes through the whole thing about, that's consumed, and once it's there, it's gone, and we're spending money we don't need, and so he ends up warming his hands on a candle, and then he just, he asks Scrooge, can I possibly have, tomorrow's Christmas Day, could I possibly have that off? And he goes through this thing about, well, this is like picking a man's pocket type of thing. You want pay, but you don't want to work. And so he ends up getting the day off. But as he leaves and he shuts the door behind him, he leaves all the negativity behind.
Mm-hmm.
And he goes outside and he meets up with his son, Tim, who's a cripple, and he slides in the snow with the boys, and he gets home and has dinner, and then he plays, he has a special Christmas Eve dinner with his family, and then the family plays a game of blind man's bluff, and it just, Bob Cratchit was seeing the season and the Christmas holiday through the eyes of a child.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, what a smart man. Because the nonsense is there. The work issues are still here. The busyness is still here. The virus is still here. But it doesn't change the fact that it is still this most wonderful time of the year. And we need to slow down and see it through the eyes of a child.
Yep.
And make a difference and be a difference to the people that are around us. The people that we, well, hopefully not bump into, because that would not be social distancing. But the people that we see, even with a mask on, you can tell if somebody's smiling by their eyes.
Mm-hmm.
So are we making a difference? Are we joyful? Are we happy? When was the last time you smelled that amazing smell from a pine tree? When was the last time you smelled Christmas cookies baking, and did you appreciate it? My wife has spent several days making her strudels, and just the smell of that.
Mm-hmm.
Do we take the time? Are we fully present enough to really experience it? So my question that I have for you, that I didn't tell you I was going to ask, because I just thought of it, is what are some of your favorite things to experience or to sense during this season?
I just find this to be such a magical time, kind of the whole month of December, really, especially having little girls. It's pretty easy for me to see through the eyes of a child when I'm living with two of them. But I love seeing the lights, yes. the decorations and the lights. And I know some of the local towns and villages even have them on their street lights, right? I love that. I love, just, lighting up our house. I think I told you we did our trees a long time ago because we were so excited.
You did, yes. Well, you were smart and you did it before it got bitter cold.
I did it when it was 70 degrees out. But, I enjoy listening to the Christmas music. The other day, I can't remember when it was, maybe a week ago or so, I was kind of feeling like down because I had a lot of chores. I had to run out to Wegmans and Target, and I've grown accustomed to staying home, and I had to actually go out, and just kind of bummed, I wanted to be home with my family. And I put on some Christmas music, and by the time I got to the store, I was feeling much better. I love that. I love the traditions around the season, which I think changed for me from being a child to when you're an adult. It's like you view the traditions differently. It's not, you kind of notice all the hard work that goes into, making the Christmas Eve dinner so special. I come from a big Italian family, right? And when I was a kid, it was getting together with my cousins and, just having a bunch of fun. And then when you get a little bit older, you realize all the behind the scenes work that the parents and grandparents and aunts and uncles were doing in the background to make it magical.
Right.
And so I think I kind of look at it as I now love being like the magic maker, doing all the things to make it so special for my kids. But then the key is that you have to enjoy it with them. And that's where I think there's the disconnect. Yes. And I've been there. I mean, there was a year that I decided to make my daughter a dollhouse, and it was a lot harder than I thought it was going to be. And I think I missed out on some of the magic part because I was so consumed by the stress. But I think that's really the key is yes, there are still, I think you started your post today with, is your wrapping done? Is your shopping done? Is your meal menu planned? Or your desserts baked? So there's still that part of it, but when you can reframe how you look at it, I am making this so special for my family, and then going that one step further to seeing it the way they're seeing it and enjoying it and sensing it the way they're sensing it, and slowing down to do that really makes the difference.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. I loved your phrase there, you love being the magic maker. Mm-hmm. And creating that environment, that those special memories, for your daughters. I am so focused on enjoying this most wonderful time of year that I have a favorite candle scent. So I'm actually holding it because while you were talking, I rolled back to my desk because it sits on my desk, and it's basically anything that is pine, balsam, cedar kind of smell. Mm-hmm. And I'll burn these things year round. I mean, it doesn't have to be in the Christmas season, but so sure enough, I've got one, and it was burning on my desk almost all day today. Mm-hmm. It's just the smell of it. And I was trying to think of some interesting favorite memory type of things. And I think I had shared with you, and I think this is wonderful for families should do this. People should get together with friends and family as best they can, and they should talk about their favorite memories of Christmas and the holidays. And one of the and I didn't share this in a post, but I was doing some reading about history, and in 1914, I believe it was, during World War I, there was a Christmas Day truce that occurred on the Western Front in Europe, where all of a sudden on Christmas Eve or Christmas morning, I don't remember which, German soldiers came out of the trenches saying Merry Christmas in English. Mm-hmm. And literally for days, the war stopped on the Western Front. And they exchanged whatever they had in their pockets as gifts, and they sang and they played soccer, and so I remember my grandmother talking about that, or maybe I didn't hear her talk about it, but I heard my dad saying my mom told me that because she lived in that area. And so we really need to cultivate memories, because memories connect generations. And memories really draw groups of people together. And so when I was thinking about, what are my favorite memories? It's hard for me to pick one. There's one memory that's so outstanding, and it's my siblings, my brother and sister had all moved away back in 1987. And one year they all came home, and we when we're together, we're with all of my nieces and nephews, we're a pretty good sized group, and we make a really good choir. I guess we all were blessed with my parents' voices and ability to sing. And so
Mm-hmm.
somebody said I think it was Christmas Eve or something, somebody said, why don't we just go to Skinny Atlas and sing? And I'm just like, and so me, the logical rule follower, you can't do that. You probably need a permit. We can't just go. And we did. We just went and started walking down the sidewalk in Skinny Atlas singing. And it started snowing, these huge snowflakes.
Wow.
And shopkeepers were just so thrilled that we would do that. And it started to snow so hard we actually had to get underneath some overhangs. And I think we went into maybe the Green Mountain coffee shop or something. I don't know. But it was we just had so much fun doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure that if my siblings listen to this, and I know one of my nephews does, he'll remember it. Jason will remember walking through Skinny Atlas and singing Christmas carols. And the neat part was, it wasn't something that we got. It was something we did together.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not about a gift. Now, I do remember a very special gift. And I shared this with you before. When my family moved to Syracuse from Mansfield, Ohio, I was pretty young. I was 3.5 or 4 when we moved here. And the first few years were really rough because my dad, the house that my parents had sold in Ohio didn't sell. And they had a house here that they were renting, trying to buy. And so money was tight for several years. And my dad, one year, not having money to buy a bunch of gifts, although none of us noticed it. None of us noticed that, they didn't have any money. It wasn't something we talked about. And we just always felt we had more than we needed. But my dad built a scroll saw, an electric scroll saw, out of parts that he was able to get from a company where he worked.
Mm-hmm.
And I still have it in my storage room here. I don't use it in my workshop because it's a little bit louder and not quite as safe, interestingly enough, perhaps as the newer ones. But I'll never get rid of that because my dad made it for my brother and me when I was, probably, 10 years old.
Wow.
So those are the things that really have deep meaning.
Mm-hmm.
So how about you? Do you have any special Christmas memories?
I do. I have a lot. And it's funny that we're talking about this now because just recently my mom had all of our, well, not all of our, the most special of our home video collection. She had converted to, I think they're maybe, I don't know, MP3 or 4 or whatever
MP4s, maybe.
MP4, so that we can, there's a library online and we can just access them in the cloud and watch them from wherever. So
what a high-tech family.
It's so cool. It is amazing just seeing, my great grandmother videos from when my mom was pregnant with me. And old videos and some more newer, as whenever, video taping was replaced by cell phones. But so I've actually been able to watch a lot of our Christmas mornings and things like that recently, and they've all been special in their own ways. But I think I'm really at the point right now where some of my favorite holiday memories are more recent. I can think back to it must have been maybe 6 years ago or so now. It was right before I got married and right before my brother and sister-in-law got married. And it was that Christmas before the weddings. We all got married within a couple of weeks of each other. And we did as we got older, the gift giving didn't take as long, right? Because we'd have, less to open. And so my mom instituted this game where we would, before you opened a gift, you had to pick a question out of a hat and answer the question. And there were some, silly ones, some really heartfelt ones. And it was just so much fun. And it was really special because, it was kind of like our last Christmas before the family really grew a lot.
Sure.
And so that was really special. And it was kind of a new tradition that we had started. And then I think, a few years after that, my first nephew was actually born on Christmas Day. And that was neat. Really special because we had known that my sister-in-law was in labor in the morning on Christmas morning. And by, dinner time, he had been born. And so it was just like really special to kind of be anticipating his birth together as a family. And then as recent as last year, we actually have started also celebrating Hanukkah because my sister-in-law celebrates Hanukkah, and
wonderful.
It's been so great to learn over the last few years to learn about Hanukkah and to celebrate it. Last year we had a traditional Hanukkah celebration, a fantastic meal, and we were all together under one roof, which was the best part of it all.
Yep.
And I think that's the hardest part about this year is that we're not doing that. But we've been able to. I think they're all kind of tradition based for me. I have great memories of being a kid with my cousins. I have a lot of cousins, and celebrating with them. And now a lot of my cousins have kids, so seeing the cousins and the kids and everyone just those are the really special things. And of course Christmas cookies.
Yes, absolutely.
The smell of butter and sugar and vanilla it is like when I smell that, it's like it's like I'm with my mom in the kitchen in our
That's awesome.
In the house that we lived in when I was 5.
Wow.
And now that I do that with my girls, last night, we've been making cookies for a long time, but last night we were doing it and it's just like, it takes me back. It's like that, it's like it was my mom's perfume or something, that sensory connection. So of course I love doing that.
That's great. There is one gift that I got that will never ever be forgotten. And I know I shouldn't say talk about gifts, but I'll explain. So, for some years, our family would just like do a Secret Santa type of thing, or we would draw names and you had to buy for somebody.
Yep.
And we would go from youngest to oldest. Now I think they do it, but they don't involve my wife and I, which is great because we just get to be too big of a group and people need to save their money, not spend it on their parents. But I would go last because I'm the oldest in the group, and I'm actually holding this card. So I was last, and my daughter-in-law Abby had drawn my name, and this is just like we're sitting around. It's just a wonderful, and we open our gifts on Christmas Eve, and we're sitting around having a wonderful time, and then I get this box, and I believe inside it was a sweater, a really nice one if I remember correctly. But the card was like amazing. And I have it in my hands. It is a handmade card that's got, I don't know how many layers of things glued up on it. It's just gorgeous. The outside says Merry Christmas. On the inside it says this: Dad, I hope that you're enjoying a beautiful Christmas season, especially this year. Also hope that you enjoy your gift. And then she says, although the best gifts don't come under the tree. Merry Christmas from our soon-to-be family of 3. Baby Freund arriving June 2016. And the place just erupted.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how Jeremy and Abby shared with the family that they were expecting.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just like, I get goosebumps just thinking about it.
Yeah, me too.
And you could tell what I meant, how much it meant to me, because I still have the card.
Mm-hmm.
So those are the things, and we'll never forget that. And whenever we see little Noah, who's not little anymore, but Noah was born in June of 2016, and we found out on Christmas Eve.
Yep.
So do you have, you talked about like Christmas dinner, do you have like a special Christmas Eve menu of any kind?
In the past, we sort of, we would gather with my dad's side of the family, which has now grown to be rather large, with all, like I said, all the cousins and all the cousins having their own kids. And there was just always too much food. And there were always some staples in the menu, some things that always remain the same. But I think over the years, it's kind of evolved a little bit. And this year will certainly be different. So we have yet to build that menu for this year because we'll be just home, the 4 of us, which will be special in its own way. I'm looking forward to new traditions and new things.
So our Christmas Eve is typically we just do a bunch of hors d'oeuvres. It's sometime it's either, and we'll either do this on Christmas Eve or Christmas Day. There will always, or at least sometime when we're all together, there's going to be, we'll make a cheese fondue. Which is just, we all love it. It's not probably not good. It's not bad if you only have it a few times a year. You probably wouldn't want to eat it every week. Because I consume large amounts of cheese. Large amounts of bread and cheese. And of course, a really nice white wine that kind of helps you digest the cheese. So, my point for having us talk about these things was just to get people to start thinking about their memories, helping them think about this wonderful season when we spend more time inside just because of the weather, and when we spend time with loved ones and thinking about, the reason for the season and being with our families. And it just, I want us all to look at life through the eyes of a child, not to be childish, but to be childlike. And really, and children enjoy simple pleasures. They're quick to forgive. You can have, your girls could be fighting one minute and playing closely together the next minute.
Yep.
Children don't hold grudges, adults do. And think about, how trusting our kids are in us, where, when they're little, that they just, if they grab our hand, that's all they need to feel safe. And that shows us the power of the relationships. And they're so creative. They're so imaginative. Well, why can't we be like that? And the other note that I put here that I sent you is children aren't afraid to show affection. And I think we all need to be more willing to show affection to our loved ones, just to express how we feel about them. Just do it, because we never know how many days or years we might have with each other. So let's make the most of it. And we don't know how many more Christmas holiday seasons we're going to have with people. So let's make the most of the one we have, as unique as it is. Yep.
And this one certainly will require that creativity and imaginative thinking that you mentioned.
Yeah. And also just for folks to remember, when you're able to be with your loved ones, there are people that aren't able to be with theirs. And, I'm thinking about the healthcare workers, that are working under extremely difficult situations right now. Just remember them as well when you're able to enjoy your nice warm house and meal. And when we're exchanging gifts with loved ones, there's people caring for the sick. And they have to do it at a different time. Anyways, that's all I have.
Yeah, it's I think it's easy to get caught up in the stress of the season. And I think this is a great reminder.
Yeah.
To, those things might not go away, but instead of thinking, oh, I have to wrap presents, what if it's, I get to turn on some fun festive music,
right? And
and kind of enjoy that, knowing that you're going to be gifting others with something that you thought they would really love, or enjoying that cookie baking time instead of it being a chore, and then sitting back and enjoying all that you have to enjoy.
Exactly. Because regardless of what the environment around us is throwing at us this year, it is still Christmas, it's still Hanukkah, it's still the holidays. So with that, I'm Dave Freund.
I'm Marisa Norcross.
And this was The Next Page.